Good morning. Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. So we have pretty exciting things going on at Breakfast with the Broker. And, we have an exciting guest. And there really is no intro for her, but we're going to try and do this. And now, by way of Dallas, Texas, she is the National Director of Marketing and Business Development at All My Sons Moving and Storage. She graduated from Duquesne University with a BA in Communications. She is a ninja grinja. She is an Instagram guru. She also is the queen of ice sculptures. She is Jameson, 150 proof Irish woman, Olsen.
I love it. I love it. What's funny is when my mom, when I was able to drink, my sister and I went to Long Island with my parents, and my mom said, we're going to make my famous pina coladas. And about an hour and a half later, we were getting yelled at because we were a little bit drunk, and we're a lot drunk, actually. And the next morning, I look in the trash. My mom knows nothing about alcohol, and she had made the pina coladas with 151. So,
oh my God.
I was like, Mom, you need to apologize for yelling at us.
Yeah, that was her point, though. She knew it.
Yeah.
She wanted you to get so sick that you'll never pick up another drink again.
Pretty much. At a young age.
Well, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And listen, we've seen you at events, we've seen you all around, we've seen you do Instagram classes, social media classes, and such. But we're here to talk a little bit about moving and storage, and it's kind of a term that people don't really like to use these days. Just from the moving and storage experience, the customer experience, trying to improve on that. Take us a little bit through what the customer experience would be with All My Sons.
So with All My Sons, our customer experience it's a little different than other moving companies. Our motto is let our family move yours. And we really, really, no matter where you are in the country, no matter how big or how small your move is, that's really what we live by and we want to go by. So when, whether you give a referral to myself in the real estate industry or they call the office direct, they're going to get a detailed outline of what the move's going to entail from start to finish. We're going to send an estimator out to the home. So they're just not booking hourly and thinking, the price is going to be one thing and then at the end of the day, it's going to be another. We're going to give them what the actual cost is going to be and then find that price. And then, we do introductions. So when they book an estimator, they're going to get an email with an actual photo of the estimator. The estimator is going to call and introduce themselves, talk to them a little bit about the process. And then they're also going to, we're actually working on technology now. When they actually book the move, they're going to get information and photos of who their movers actually are. Yeah, and on the day of the move, when our movers show up, they introduce themselves on the doorstep. They do a walkthrough with the customer, and I always stress to our movers and our men, our crews, that whatever the customer's going through, so are you. If they're going through a happy celebration move, then you are too. If they're going through a divorce, so are you. And that really makes the customer feel a lot more comfortable with the move.
Yeah, being a chameleon and having all these personalities, especially in today's world or the quote unquote new normal. What safety protocols are moving companies taking, or specifically yours? You can't speak for everyone, but what safety protocols for COVID are you taking?
So we actually developed software. There was a lot of software moving companies could buy to do virtual estimates. We developed our own, where you can either have an on-site estimator or a virtual estimate of the home if they don't feel comfortable. At the beginning of COVID, we were like, we need to figure out a way to sanitize these trucks like after every move. So we actually hired a company to come in, and we have 67 locations, even though, and we're not a franchise. We're all under one umbrella. We hired a national company to come in, and obviously they would spray down the trucks, but they actually also used a specific type of gun where the only thing that actually had proven to kill COVID-19 on the spot was heat. And they actually would heat our trucks up little by little to about 110 degrees. So that they sanitize, so it would sanitize properly. We also invested a lot of our finances into making sure that our movers were safe. So we ordered gloves, masks, without raising our prices to the customer. And then we offered the customer gloves and masks as well. So, and hand sanitizer.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we've all had to, as a trigger word we've talked about is pivot, right? We've pivoted to the new normal and whatnot. And, when we talk about personalities and chameleon and all that, there are some people that are extremely fearful of COVID. And then there's, some people that have, it goes the gamut. Like, they don't. They don't have the same fear that some do. And, it's kind of navigating through those personalities can be tough. Talking about, moving, for those viewers that are viewing now, what are some questions that you should ask your mover when you're interviewing them?
Well, we do get a lot of people that call in and they say we're just trying to get pricing, which is fine. But a lot of moving companies will give pricing without telling them how many men are on the job. So when you're asking for pricing over the phone, which I always recommend asking for an estimator, even if it's not offered, also asking how many men does that include? A lot of times people talk about hidden fees. So you want to ask, is there a fuel charge? Is there a travel time charge? How is that calculated? You also want to ask, are the movers W-2 employees or are they day laborers? Being in this world, when I see things that other people is just like, it goes past their face like nothing happened. I'm at a Home Depot when I first bought my house in South Florida. It was like 7 a.m. and I see a competitor's truck pull up to Home Depot and have like the day laborers that stand outside of Home Depot jump in the truck and they give them a shirt. I'm like hyperventilating because like I live in this world and I'm like, did anyone else just see that? Like, but nobody, it doesn't, that doesn't phase them.
That would have been a good TikTok video, by the way.
Huh?
That would have been a good TikTok video.
I know. I was like freaking out. So are they W-2 employees? Are they background checked? Drug tested? Our movers go through drug testing when they're hired, but then they also go through random drug testing throughout their employment with us. So things like that. Are they licensed, insured? Those are all questions that you want to ask because there's a lot of great mom and pop movers that have one or two trucks and they do a great job. But during the busy season, which is May through September, one of the questions you want to ask is how big is your fleet? If you have 1 to 2 trucks, there's a 50-50 chance and a high probability that if you're a smaller move, say $1,000 or less, they may cancel on you last minute because another job that was more profitable and bigger came along. So you definitely want to ask how many fleets they have, how many trucks they have in their fleet too.
What's the rule of thumb, like as far as men? We talk about men or women. We talk about is a 2,000 square foot house 3,000? I guess it's a number of furniture, but and people, and I know moving companies deal in kind of pounds of the move, but it's if you're a homeowner and you're looking at moving, should you have 3 people, 4 people, 5 people? Like, is there a rule of thumb that you can go by?
It really depends on the size of the move. I always a lot of people look at a 2-man job and they're like, oh, that hourly rate's only $99. But what they don't realize is that even if they don't have a ton of furniture, maybe they're on the 3rd floor going to another 3rd floor walk up. I would never put 2 men on that. That's a 3-man job, like all day, every day. I like to have no less than 3 men on a job because it's more like a well-oiled machine. You're going to have, all of them are going to be wrapping and protecting. And then when furniture is ready to be ran, you're going to have, a packer in the truck that's also running furniture and then wrapping and protecting inside. But it really depends on the type of move. People are always like, well, a 3-man job can get this done faster. And a 4-man is, the rate's higher, but it almost, when you're talking between 3 and 4 men, it's almost as though those prices are going to come out to be the same unless you have an exceptional move, because a 4-man rate might be higher, but it's going to go faster. 3-man rate might be less, but it's going to go longer. So they almost are going to equal out. So it just, it depends. But I always recommend anything over 1,000 square feet, like apartment, 1-bedroom apartment. I always recommend 3 or more men.
Yeah, I speak from personal experience. Sometimes we've had 2 or 3 men on the job, and we could have used a 4th or even perhaps a 5th. Because I guess what people don't realize is that they look at their furniture and they say, oh, it's no big deal. You just have a few things and move this and move that, and it should only be a few hours. And then all of a sudden it's 9:30 at night, and they're wondering why it took 14 hours. Well, it's because you had 2 people on the job. It's like,
and they looked over the phone for a 3,000 square foot home.
Right. And it's crazy to me that I guess people don't realize how long it takes to move stuff.
They don't.
We unfortunately we gather a lot of crap over the years, and we forget about it. But what's the deal with packing? So, I guess, in our experience in moving in, and maybe you could shed some light on this, but in our experience, packing is really great if you have good packers and they're not just throwing stuff in and mismarking and labeling the boxes. How do you get a good crew to pack you? And, should you be managing, oversighting as a homeowner? What kind of value could you bring to them?
So when you have an estimator come out to your home, you're going to show them. Sometimes people want their entire home packed. Sometimes people want just their breakables packed, so they do a half pack. Some people confuse wrapping and protecting furniture with packing. So if they're packing their own boxes, I always recommend, using things that you have already in your home to protect the breakables, your towels, linens, things like that, pillows. Throw your pillows at the bottom of the box to help a little bit of cushion. If you do hire professional packers, moving company and such, you don't have to oversee them, but just know that they are going to wrap differently than you. I did have a lady in Palm Beach that she had an extensive collection of glassware, very expensive glassware, and specifically her champagne flutes. She didn't like how the packers were packing it, and she was just micromanaging, and it was making the move go longer. And when I got out there, I said to her, I said to one of my movers, I was like, finish packing the box of the flutes, and let me know when you're done, because we pack them in such a way, and they're trained to, if you pack glassware in a specific pattern, they're not going to break. Period. 99.9% of the time. But normal people don't pack their glassware in a pattern. So when he did that, we got to the top of the stairs. There was where she kept the glassware, and I told him to throw the box down the stairs. And she went ghastly white. She almost died. And I said, we're going to go down there. We're going to unpack that box, and not one flute was broken. So when you're hire packers, specifically with all my sons, they're trained to do things a certain way. It might not always be the way you're going to do it if you packed your own things, but you got to trust the process. So you don't want to micromanage them, because they'll start to get nervous. The move is going to take longer. So you just want to trust the process as well.
Yeah, as long as she didn't have a heart attack, because that would have really. Again, that's a good commercial for all my sons. But it's funny, listen, there's a lot of people moving these days, right? We have about 1,000 people a day coming into the state of Florida. And the majority of those are, I don't know if it's the majority, but a lot of those people are coming into the South Florida market. And, they're looking, to move. And it's kind of like when you get 2 or 3 estimates, a lot of times people are choosing the least expensive option because they're like, it's moving, you're getting point A to point B. But not all movers are created equal, are they?
Definitely not.
So, I guess the biggest point, at least from personal experience that I've seen, is they talk about insurance. Well, you need to, I think, I think the at least speaking and getting feedback from my homeowners is that they don't like to be nickel and dimed, right? So like, well, they have artwork, so that needs to be crated, or that you need you have these beautiful TVs, they need to be crated. Then you got to get insurance on them, and all these different little things that cause the rate to go significantly up. Tell us a little bit about like the process, of why it's more expensive, why it's broken down, and those kind of things, and what you guys recommend.
So when you're moving and you book a move, every moving company includes a specific type of insurance that's federally regulated. It's 60 cents per pound per article of item. That's pretty much nothing. It's if a mover breaks your table, you get 60 cents on the pound of that table. So if that table was 20 pounds, even though it was $5,000 table, you're getting, that's all they're legally obligated to pay you out because you signed that paperwork. But a lot of people don't think about that. If we suggest something to be created, and this is how you properly have to move it. For example, an 80-inch TV, that you don't throw that in a TV box, please. Create that fucker. Because also that moving insurance that's included does not cover electronics. So you would be out of luck. But when we specifically require something to be created and they are adamant they're not going to, we'll have them sign a waiver that they denied creating, and we'll package to the best of our ability, and fingers crossed it makes it, because TVs are so expensive these days, and they're made so flimsy on the inside, and they're so delicate. Going over a speed bump could ruin the motherboard. So I always recommend additional insurance on things that are exceptional, of sentimental value or exceptional value. And every mover sells additional insurance. So if there are things like that, it's well worth the money, especially on a long distance trip. On a local trip, 50-50, you can get away with it, but on a long distance one, especially if you're going with a van line where you don't have a dedicated truck, you have other people's things on the truck, you definitely want to get that additional insurance, either from the mover or from movinginsurance.com. And sometimes homeowners insurance, whether it's the place you're moving out of or the place you're moving into, have riders where you can add moving insurance for your move, and it costs less. So I always recommend looking at people's homeowners insurance.
No, that's a great idea. And, people don't like buying insurance in general, right? Like, just, because they only like to buy, they only like to buy insurance, when they need it. So and unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. It's like you break it. Okay, I'll buy the insurance. That's probably not going to work.
Right.
So, talking about the moving business and the industry, how do you get through? Because listen, in all honesty, just like a realtor, right? The barrier of entry is pretty low. You get an operational license or occupational license, and you're a mover, and obviously you have to do certain things, with bounding insurance and stuff like that. But, in general, the barrier of entry, opening a real estate firm or opening a moving firm, is pretty low. And we've seen, quite honestly, some similarities in some of the professionalism or lack thereof, in our industries. Tell us a little bit about, how you combat some of the bad apples, I guess.
Ooh. I try and make people feel as comfortable as possible when moving. That's why, when I get a referral, I like to be that first point of contact, so I can make them, whether it's a small move or a big move, they get the same VIP treatment as one of our, Dallas Cowboys or Miami Dolphins players. But it's really, it's hard to combat when people are looking at just price. It's hard to combat, what they're looking for. But, I find the best way is to educate people. A lot of estimates I come up against, they're like, we break everything down, so you know exactly what you're being charged. But a lot of people will hide them in the rate. For example, maybe our 3-man crew is $139 an hour, and then we have a material charge and a fuel rate on top of that. And then I'll get an estimate where people say, well, they're not charging me material or fuel. And I'm like, well, their 3-man hourly rate is $169 per hour and mine's $139 per hour. They're getting their material and fuel. So it's just about educating them, especially, you know, I always will look at an estimate from another mover and go over it with the customer and explain it to them. Whereas, you know, maybe they missed the price or the date where this price is only good through this date. And then it's past that date already. If they would have signed it, they would have been out of luck, and the mover would have been able to charge whatever they wanted. Especially when we come up against a van line that might be less expensive than our quote, explaining how the van lines work and what exactly is happening, because they don't understand. They just know a truck's going to show up. So I really feel like education is the best way to combat any of the bad apples in moving companies and any of the ones that think they're slick. So
yeah, I love it. And managing their, you know, the homeowners' expectations, you know, obviously through that process in education. So it's great. Most important thing is how do we meet Tua?
How do we want? Okay.
Come on, I went to University of Alabama.
I know, right?
Yeah, he's. I was there for the national championship when he was second and 26 against Georgia. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, so I always well, before we get to the last two questions, give us 2 Instagram tricks that or tips that, you know, may help people that are viewing now.
Use video. The algorithms of Instagram have changed so many times during COVID-19. You know, video is king. I have realtors that will look at me and say, well, I don't like how I sound, or I don't like how I look. And I'm like, then you need to find a new profession, because this is what you look like and this is how you sound, right? But video is king. The algorithms for your Instagram account organically will hit a video better than a photo or anything along those lines. So go live as much as possible as you can on your Instagram account, and post as many videos as you can. You know, 15-second or less videos get a lot more engagement, especially when you're posting to your reels and your stories. So that would be tip number 1. Definitely engage with your video. You know, when you post a video subconsciously in someone's head, stuff starts to happen more so than a picture. My tip number 2, use the auto fit button. I'm so tired of seeing people post photos and like half the photo or majority of use the auto fit button. You know, I just took a screenshot this morning of a realtor who posted something, and it was a great post, except she didn't use the auto fit button. So the sides of the photo were, you know, and important parts of the photo were cut off. So I screenshotted that. I'm going to use it in my presentation. Like, don't be that realtor. Use the auto fit button.
It's true. It's true. So yeah, know the rules.
Right.
That's awesome. So I always end the interview with last 2 questions. What is your favorite all-time streaming series, like Netflix or Hulu or whatever? And what are you currently watching?
So, you know, on Netflix, I just binge watched, actually, and almost ate Chinese every night from Uber Eats, All American. And
I loved it. Yeah, it was great.
I cannot wait until it comes back on. It's supposed to come back in January, but who knows? So I binge watched that, and I just finished that this past week. And then I'm a big fan of like football stuff, anything football. My dad played, and you remember the Titans? Remember that?
Sure.
Have you ever seen that?
About 8 times, daughter, maybe 80 times.
Right, the coach's daughter that was like all up in his business, knowing all the plays. That was me growing up. Like he wasn't allowed analyzing film until I went to ballet, because I threw myself on the ground. So currently in Netflix, it's called Friday Night Tykes. It's about the tackle football in Texas, and it's actually really interesting to watch and see what happens. So it's called Friday Night Tykes.
Friday Night Lights, right?
No, Tykes, because it's about the little midget kids. It's about the
that's cool. No, I haven't seen that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The one that the last 2 series, the Queen's Gambit was unbelievable. If If you haven't watched that, I definitely highly recommend that. And Kingdom, it was amazing. So those are my two as well. So Jameson, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I think you got a lot of value out of this. Customer experience is so important in moving and storage. And, you're not all created equal. Just like realtors and brokers aren't all created equal. There are professional ones, and then there are ones, when you go with a larger mover, you also have the ability, because everyone makes mistakes, and it's the ability to turn that negative into a positive, rather than, just kind of shunning you and bait and switch. All those bad terms that are associated both our industries. So we certainly appreciate it. Again, Jameson Olsen with All My Sons Moving and Storage. She's excellent. Look her up. Get connected through Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Thanks again. And next Tuesday, we have another exciting guest. So we really, really appreciate it. Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Thanks so much, Jameson.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.